In the 1980s, America believed something was hiding in plain sight. Not in the shadows of abandoned castles, not in distant foreign lands, in daycares, in churches, in quiet suburban homes. It was said that secret satanic cults were abusing children across the country. There were stories of underground tunnels, of ritual sacrifices, of teachers flying through the air, of babies thrown into fires. There was only one problem. There was no evidence. This is the story of how fear outran proof, and how belief alone nearly reshaped the American justice system. To understand the panic, you have to understand the time. The Cold War still loomed over the country. Nuclear war felt possible at any moment. Crime rates were high. The economy had stumbled. Families felt uncertain about the future. At the same time, religious revivalism surged. Evangelical leaders spoke of spiritual warfare. Sermons warned that Satan was not symbolic, but active, organized, strategic. Popular culture added fuel. Heavy metal music was accused of hiding backward satanic messages. Role-playing games were rumored to open portals to darkness. Talk shows featured guests claiming they had escaped secret occult networks. America felt as if something was slipping, and when societies feel unstable, they look for an enemy. Sometimes that enemy is political, sometimes it is foreign, and sometimes it is supernatural. The spark came in 1983 in Manhattan Beach, California. A mother accused a worker at a preschool of molesting her son. The preschool was called McMartin. The allegation should have triggered a careful investigation. Instead, it triggered something much larger. Parents received letters informing them that their children might have been abused and encouraging them to ask questions. Children were interviewed, then interviewed again and again. The questioning was not neutral. Interviewers asked leading questions. They suggested that other children had already told the truth. If a child denied abuse, they were gently pushed to reconsider. "Are you sure nothing happened?" Other kids said it did. "It's okay, you're safe now." Children want to please adults. They want approval. They want to give the right answer. And slowly, stories began to change. At first, there were accusations of inappropriate touching. Then, the stories expanded. There were claims of underground tunnels beneath the school, claims of ritual ceremonies, claims that teachers dressed as witches, claims that animals were sacrificed in front of children. Some children said they had been taken in airplanes. Others said they had watched babies being harmed. Investigators excavated the property. They found no tunnels. There were no missing children. No physical evidence supported the claims. But by then, the story was bigger than the facts. Television carried the panic into living rooms across the country. News anchors spoke gravely about satanic ritual abuse. Talk shows featured self-proclaimed survivors describing secret ceremonies and hidden cults operating nationwide. Books climbed bestseller lists claiming to expose vast occult networks embedded in American communities. The phrase satanic ritual abuse became common. Police departments held seminars teaching officers how to recognize occult symbols. Social workers were trained to look for signs of hidden trauma. Daycare centers across the country fell under suspicion. In Texas, in Florida, in North Carolina, in Massachusetts, accusations followed a similar pattern. Children were questioned repeatedly. Stories grew more elaborate over time. Physical evidence was absent, but fear filled the gap. In times of anxiety, absence of evidence can look like proof of clever evil. If nothing is found, perhaps the cult is simply very good at hiding. That reasoning allowed doubt to survive. The human cost was enormous. Teachers were arrested, grandmothers were jailed. Church volunteers faced accusations that destroyed reputations overnight. In the McMartin case, several defendants spent years fighting charges. The trial became the longest and most expensive criminal trial in American history at the time. 7 years. 7 years of hearings, testimony, media coverage, and mounting legal bills. And in the end, there were no convictions. The charges collapsed. Jurors could not find proof beyond a reasonable doubt. The tunnels did not exist. The nationwide cult network was never uncovered. But acquittal does not restore stolen time. Some defendants had spent years in jail awaiting trial. Families were bankrupted. Reputations never fully recovered. In the public mind, suspicion lingers longer than headlines. Why did so many believe? Because multiple institutions reinforced one another. Therapists increasingly used techniques aimed at uncovering repressed memories. Some patients began recalling ritual abuse from childhood during therapy sessions. Law enforcement seminars warned that satanic groups operated with extreme secrecy and organization. Media outlets reported allegations as if the existence of cults were already established. Each system validated the other. Media cited police, police cited therapists, therapists cited survivor accounts reported in the media. A loop formed. Within that loop, skepticism seemed dangerous. If you questioned the narrative, were you dismissing children? If you doubted the claims, were you protecting abusers? Few wanted to take that risk, and so doubt went quiet. Courtrooms became battlegrounds between emotion and evidence. Jurors faced impossible choices. Children testified about terrifying events. How do you look at a child describing horror and decide it might not be real? Yet prosecutors struggled to produce physical proof. Defense attorneys argued that the interviewing methods were flawed, that repeated suggestion had shaped testimony. Over time, appellate courts began reviewing convictions from similar cases. Experts testified about the suggestibility of children. Researchers studied how memory can be altered by repeated questioning. Gradually, the legal system recalibrated, but it did so slowly. Some convictions were overturned years later. Some defendants were released after serving time. But the emotional scars remained. For the accused, there was anger and exhaustion. For the children, there was confusion. Many had internalized narratives of trauma that may not have occurred as described. For parents, there was guilt. Guilt for possibly believing too quickly, or guilt for fearing they hadn't protected their children enough. The panic did not end with a dramatic announcement. It faded. By the mid-1990s, journalists began re-examining the claims. Investigations found no evidence of organized nationwide satanic ritual networks operating daycares. Academic research challenged the reliability of recovered memories. Public interest shifted to other fears. The headlines grew quieter, but the story did not disappear. It became a cautionary tale. The Satanic Panic was not medieval. It was modern. It happened under fluorescent courtroom lights. It unfolded on primetime television. It was carried by newspapers printed on glossy paper and delivered to suburban driveways. It showed that fear can bypass evidence, that belief can shape memory, that institutions designed to protect can sometimes amplify panic. It revealed something uncomfortable about human nature. When anxiety is high, people crave certainty. A hidden enemy provides clarity. It explains chaos. It offers a target, even if that target is invisible. There were no confirmed underground tunnels beneath those daycares. There was no proven nationwide cult network sacrificing children in secret ceremonies. But there was something very real. Fear. Fear powerful enough to imprison innocent people. Fear powerful enough to reshape investigative practices. Fear powerful enough to convince a nation that evil was hiding in classrooms and church basements. The Satanic Panic was not about Satan. It was about what happens when suspicion becomes proof and doubt becomes dangerous. Perhaps the most unsettling part of this story is not that it happened. It is that it happened so recently. Not in the distant past, not in the age of superstition, in living memory. And history suggests something important. Fear never truly disappears. It only waits for a new shape.